Yo, we're gonna talk about Hisuian Braviary. And I'll be honest, this is really the Pokemon definition of like almost cool. But yeah, Hisuian Braviary, as you can see, 112. So basically you take the high physical attack, move it a bit to special attack, add a bit more HP, and then like a lot slower too. Though weirdly enough, with the stat spread, it's not as min-max as it really should be, right? Well, you see with Braviary, it has 57 special attack. And then with like Hisuian Braviary, a special attacker has 83. And this leads to like some ultimate problems with like bulk and speed, where you're like way slower and you're way less bulky than they actually could have made you. And you're way less strong too, for that matter. The whole 11 difference. And the thing about Hisuian Braviary as well is you're not really going to be using as many high power attacks as Braviary, since like you don't have Brave Bird. You can use Hurricane, I guess, but like that's 70% accurate, so it's not as like spammable as a Brave Bird could be for normal Braviary. And this makes Hisui Braviary essentially a lot weaker, though it does have like a few interesting tricks that kind of make it an interesting Pokemon. Like, first of all, this the exclusive move against Esper Wing has a 100% chance to raise its speed and has a high critical hit rate. Which I'll say the part that makes this move disappointing for me though is that it's a psychic type move. If this was simply a flying type move, you could run a set like this, right? With Esper Wing, Calm Mind, Roost, and then you can run a Stored Power. And what this does is you essentially create the craziest win-con Pokemon ever if this were a flying move. But because that's not the case, you can't exactly do that, right? So yeah, you kind of have to forego the stored power option for like an air slash, or you would just have to use like Hurricane straight up. And that's honestly that's way less good. That is way less good. Like, if you let's see the title, if this is a flying type move, I would run this Pokemon so fast. If you don't know, there was an old Cresselia set back in 2018 where we would run like Calm Mind, we would run Moonlight, we would run Sword Power, we would run Icy Wind, right? And that was such a hard set to deal with because of this overall Cresselia bulk and all the boost you would get. But it had this like flaw, right? You'd have to rely on Cresselia's speed stat a bit, and if things got faster than you, then it starts becoming a bit of a problem. And you also sometimes struggle to get like as much boost as you would want, since you won't, of course, you won't be able to boost when you're actually attacking. And Hisuian Braviary fixes that problem with set up win-con attackers, where you're still setting up when you are going for these attacks. But the problem is they just simply are like, hey, let's not give them let's make this a psychic type move, so if you do run the stored power set, which is frankly the better set to run it, you're just gonna run into a dark type Pokemon and you auto lose. And that's not necessarily good, but it's something that you might have to just deal with in order to play Hisuian Braviary efficiently. Or you could also just drop Esper Wing, but that feels so sad too as well, because then you're just a slow bird that can't really do much to actually act as a win condition. So yeah, really this very awkward Pokemon to run, but we'll try to like make an attempt to kind of cover at least a little bit, right? You do want some speed, you don't need too much since you're this Esper Winging up, right? Want a little, let's go full bulk, honestly. Let's go mostly bulk. You are boosting, but having a little bit of special attack is still nice in general. And then going something like this is kind of okay. Since you're going to be using your Spadef boost with Calm Mind, you kind of forego it a bit. Though I'll actually go more Spadef heavy on this one. Let's go something like this. It's kind of okay. Yeah. Then you can run them on like Gorilla Boom. But essentially, if you do want to run this, you kind of just have to make this set. You have to make sure your team can kill any dark type at all cost. Because only psychic type moves is not a very good Pokemon, frankly. You can run a Terra Fairy to at least like add a dark type resist, so the dark types don't kill you as well. And you can like get through a Wicked Blow, right? And then you can run a mono like Gorilla Boom, helps versus some of the dark types. Like, it can get through Wo-Chien a bit with U-Turn. And chip it down through that. Get through Tinglu with Wood Hammer. And you can, do this run knockoff? Or this run for a beating, I don't know. And that's a decent idea. And then you can run them on, like, Urshifu, Fluttermane. basically the best fighting type in the format, and then the best fairy type in the format to kind of more stuff to help that dark type problem. Because that is really the Hisuian Braviary issue, is how you deal with dark types. So the more you add to this help that problem, honestly, the better. And then you can also run a mono like Heatran. Heatran is a very, very good counter to Chi-Yu stuff. So having a Heatran there actually does help cover a fair bit. Of course, Chi-Yu has to like go for a dark type move. Heatran kind of ignores it, going for Heat Wave, and actually this gives it boost too. And then finally for the last Pokemon, I think you can go Thunders probably, but I think a mono like Landorus Incarnate is pretty good, honestly. So yeah, I'll just put Landorus Incarnate here. Go Life Orb. Landorus Eye is a pretty cool Pokemon in general. This has a, frankly, pretty solid typing. I'm gonna give it Poison Terra, because why not, right? Then you go Sand Shear, Sludge Bomb, Earth Power, Protect. That's another thing that has a decent matchup into opposing Chi-Yu. Icy Wind Flutter is a bit weird, but it's a way to this help you deal with all these faster Pokemon, because this team really kind of lacks speed control. Even though you can run like Drum Beating on Rillaboom to help clear up that problem a little bit. And yeah, there's a little concept to this, try to ease the whole dark type problem, which is very, very bad for Hisuian Braviary, thanks to its, frankly, Game Freak that's destroyed the Pokemon by this not giving it the right move. And yeah, let's do something like this. And note these EV spreads are very haphazardly made. This as a result of the point of these videos is more to introduce concepts next to Pokemon than necessarily like full optimal EV spreads. So I do want that to be kept in mind when looking at some of these sets that are frankly pretty fast. He made. But yeah, you can also just run a Hurricane instead of Stored Power. Though I think that is a little less fun. But yeah, you can run something like Hurricane. You can run Air Slash too. I'm just running Stored Power because I think that's like technically the best way to get the most maximum output out of your Hisuian Braviary. Though it does come with like the obvious risk, right? You're not going to get as much value out of it when you just run into a dark type. So that is something to keep in mind, of course. Let's run Heatran, run a little bit of speed. Mostly with its bulk, though. And yeah, that's a simple little idea of Hisuian Braviary. I don't think there's another real playstyle with it, honestly. But yeah, you can run Esper Wing, Roost, Calm Mind with Air Slash. You can run it with Hurricane. Stored Power is technically crazy, but it being a Psychic type move, this means you get walled by Dark types. You could drop Esper Wing instead for Air Slash. But yeah, the general idea is just make sure you have as much to beat Dark types as possible, and let's try to blast through with your setup, and then hopefully this cause some impact that way. Which is a fair strat. It's a fair strat for sure. But yeah, that's it for this one. Let me know what other Pokemon you want me to talk about. Frankly, this is probably the weakest Pokemon we'll talk about. But this is a little fun win concept that you can do with Hisuian Braviary. So yeah, that's it for this one. Goodbye.